NutriCast. Welcome to Season 4 of Transforming 45. I'm your host, Lisa Boat, and this season we're stepping fully into our power. The heat, the hormones, the heartbreak, the healing. This is midlife, raw and redefined. Each episode, you'll hear stories of humans who are rewriting the rules, reclaiming their bodies, their desires, their voices. This is where we stop shrinking, start shining, and remember who the hell we are. Because midlife isn't a crisis, it's an awakening. Let's get transforming 45. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Transforming 45. This week, I am really excited to welcome Bonnie Schultz. She is the founder and CEO of Tandem Resource Solutions. After 27 years in administrative roles, from file clerk to executive assistant to the CEO, Bonnie made the leap into entrepreneurship at 48. Today, she's not only a business owner, but a podcast host, wife, mom. Menopause didn't arrive quietly for Bonnie. It came in full force, right as she was stepping into her power with her signature blend of strategy and softness, grit and grace. Bonnie is living proof that midlife isn't an ending, it's an expansion, and she is only getting started. Well, welcome to the show, Bonnie. We have so much to talk about. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Who are you and how did life introduce you to this version?
Oh, it came in like I don't know, like a murder of crows. I was very naive as to menopause because it wasn't talked about. Perimenopause wasn't even a thing that I knew about. It wasn't spoken about in my house when I was growing up and as I was a young mother. I guess I would say it did hit me when I was 48. Right at the time, I was pivoting out of my corporate life into entrepreneurship. And I didn't really realize what was hitting me until I had an impactful presentation that I attended through the Second Act Women organization at a thing we call Denver Startup Week here in Colorado. And it's a full week of learning and how to become an entrepreneur and all the different things that go along with it. But this one presentation just kind of struck me really hard. And I didn't realize it was a thing at 48. I'll just say it, no period thing, for it just hit my full year, or just kind of in that full year. I was like, boy, let's go to this thing and see what it's about. So they had the best panel of women that just told me so much and taught me so much in such a quick amount of time that I thought, oh my gosh, these are my people. They don't just get me as a woman and the challenges of being a woman in business, but they got me as a woman in business, pivoting at this age with all that's going on in my mind and my body and the changes that I didn't even realize were happening, but they would say it and I'd be like, oh yeah, that happened to me. Upon following them and then just going through business and going through life, I am now what we call chapter 57. And I've been through it. I am in 10 years post-menopausal. And, I'm like, when is this shit going to end? I want to know because if you know, please share. Because I've most recently felt kind of a change in the last couple of years from what it was initially. It was slight, the hot flashes and all that in the beginning, but things are getting worse. And I've just been like, I'll give you the example of why you're seeing this lovely decorative arm thing on me if you're watching the show or not listening. It was because I took a stumble. No reason. I walked from my car to the house and I fell. My husband would say it's the backless tennis shoes I had on that I'm too lazy to bend over and put on real ones. I just want to slip in and walk. So the funny part about that is he picked them up afterwards and threw them across the yard and said, "You're not wearing these anymore." But that's when it hits me. So I have road rash, grass rash, and cement rash all up and down my arms, which right now are very aging. And I believe that's part of the menopausal process, that into a place that I didn't think they would age to until I was in my 80s. But apparently it's hereditary at this time of my life because I have the not age spot so much, but as already got the very thin, crepey skin on my arms and my hands, and I bruise super, super easy. So can you imagine what this arm just went through and the pains I'm feeling today? So that's a big one for me. And then the other one is just I've always been an emotional person and cried super easy, but it is like super intensified now. I am so freaking emotional all the time, and that is in work and life. It doesn't take much to make me cry anymore. I mean, it didn't really in the past, but it's even more now. And then I'd say the number one thing for me is brain fog. Brain fog is real, people. And I thought I was like, oh my gosh, I have Alzheimer's. What's wrong with me? But I feel so much better knowing people like yourself and knowing that it is one of the like 80 symptoms or something that you can have during pre, during, after,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
post, menopausal symptoms that those kind of are the ones that are hitting me hard now, and I don't know if that's just the evolution in the 10 years and the changes, but luckily they do change, everybody. I don't have a lot of the hot flashes anymore, so that's good. Still love not having my period.
Yeah.
That's the only part, but
Yeah.
there's those fun things like thinning of the vaginal walls and pain during intercourse. Girl, I know it all.
Mhm.
But I have found ways to fix that, and I'm sure you know more about that than I do, but that's kind of the gist of my life in this lovely menopausal world I'm in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And
You're
thank you for
welcome.
being so willing to talk about postmenopause. And I really want to get into that with you because there's so many things you said that are really important to talk about. And so, what I hear you saying as the answer to that question is you are a postmenopausal woman, and your body and context introduced you to that version. And who are you at your core?
At my core, I am a people pleaser and a caregiver and a mom. My children are grown in their 30s, but I miss mostly being a mom. And so I've tried to find other outlets to remain needed and to be able to care for others. And so that's me at my core is I'm a true empath. And I feel all the feels of
Yeah.
everybody around me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And being postmenopausal can amplify that
Okay.
because our body and our brain isn't working so hard to create this monthly cycle of reproduction. So that is one of the things that can happen during postmenopause is there is some more freedom. There sometimes women talk about actually having more energy in postmenopause, creativity and connection because the brain has space to think about and work on other things when it's not in this constant state of, every 21, 28, whatever your cycle was,
Right. I don't
days.
remember.
Yeah, of creating that hormone cascade that happens to make that process happen. So it's one of the things that I think is so important to talk about in postmenopause because, well, actually, I'm going to reel back for a second because a lot of the time when I'm having the conversation around menopause, perimenopause, women will say to me, "Oh, I'm postmenopause. I'm past all of that." And you identified so many things that are really important during postmenopause that is actually no, you're not.
No, you're not.
You are in this stage. Postmenopause is a stage of
Yes.
menopause.
Yes. You're still in the pause.
Yes, absolutely, as you will be until the final curtain call.
Right, exactly. I
This is
love
it.
that. I like that better than
Yeah.
what else I could say, yeah, definitely. And I had to learn that too, like, I kept saying I'm in menopause, and then I'd get corrected, like, "No, that's only that 1 minute after the 1 year that you're in menopause." But I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but postmenopause is also referred to as menopause,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've
Actually,
heard that, I just
there's
wanted to get confirmation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, like in all things, there's discrepancy in thinking within a community, but there are some leaders in the community that I respect who really talk about the importance of calling postmenopause menopause for exactly this reason we were talking about before, because
Yeah.
then people think like, oh, it's over, it's done. I'm in this other phase where, like you said, really, it's we are menopausal until we kick it.
Yep. Well, so now that was a question I was gonna ask you. Are we truly menopausal till we kick it, or does it end? I mean, like, am I ever gonna stop feeling like I feel? That's what I don't know, you know?
Yeah, that is a really great question, and it has a complicated answer. So, for some women, they do see shift and change in symptoms. So, you identified you no longer have hot flushes anymore, like a couple of other things. And when our bodies are in a prolonged state of deprivation of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, that's where decline starts to happen. So that's why we experience um, lack of balance, pulls, frailty, fragility comes from that extended period of not having estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in our bodies. And so the generation of women who were really impacted by the Women's Health Institute study, which you would be a part of that cohort, have suffered in many ways thanks to that very flawed research.
Oh,
And so some of the work that we do in post-menopause is talking about it's never too late
aw.
for a combination of things. So, one, I don't like to have the pharmacological conversation without actually also having the lifestyle conversation
Right.
because strength training, I've talked about this before, but
Yeah.
training with Joan, she's like I think 80 at this point, started her resistance training journey at 75 and completely revolutionized her health.
Wow.
So it's really incredible and things like having it that is one of the most preventative things we can do for frailty and falls. Is building up our strength, muscles, bones, and joints.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell me
like
what you think about collagen. I just started taking collagen and it's not doing anything.
yeah. So I include collagen in my smoothie every morning.
Do you?
I
Okay, I do it in my
notice
coffee.
yeah, so what I notice is it improves the quality of my nails. I will say. But there's a lot of different thoughts about collagen and how you take it and the amount that your body is actually able to convert into what's usable.
Right.
There's
Lots of talk. A whole different Oprah.
there's so much. And the other thing I always preface things with is it's going to be different for you than it is for than anyone else. And so they're really, really like very individualized conversations. Yeah. So like all of that, this supplementation, protein intake, building muscles, bones, and joints, rest,
Oh.
which I know,
For the
which is
entrepreneurs,
yeah, I know, which is a tricky one.
it is.
And
Boundaries.
also, and this is what we know now from the most recent research, is that it actually isn't too late to start hormone therapy if that is something that you are interested in. Yeah. And that has the majority of healthcare practitioners don't necessarily know that piece of
I don't.
information. And it's really important and it can have significant impacts on your on long-term health. So yeah, in postmenopause, there is a ton that you can do to really improve your quality of life.
Nice. I've definitely
Yeah.
been checking into that. I did have a extensive blood work done, so I know where I'm low in testosterone and things like that. But yeah, it's more convincing, at least in the US, our medical practitioners that there's a specialty of theirs to accept
Mhm.
that and provide it without us having to go to a specialist and, lots and lots of money, at least
Mhm.
here for that. I sure wish our US doctors would delve more into that and specialize in it for us because, man, that just stinks.
Yeah.
That they
It's
don't,
super frustrating and it's not just the US. This is
is it?
it's a
Good to know.
global issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
It is very frustrating.
Mhm.
And you also are creating a new way of living for yourself. And I think that that is also important to share with people because I have some, younger women in my life who recently have said like, "I know this is coming and it sounds terrifying and I don't want to even think about
Right.
it." And while I will not gloss over the challenging and hard parts that come with it, there are also some really powerful things that come with it. So, can you talk a little bit about how being postmenopausal is giving you capacity in different ways in the business that you're building now?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing you said is it has kind of intensified some things for me. So, It's like making me turn introspective. And I'm thinking, like, here's my limitations. But as I age and mature and go through this, it's getting easier and easier for me to just say no to and hold those boundaries to get my rest and my exercise and the breathe some air during the day. Um, and so that is a benefit. You have a little bit more confidence because you've been through it. At least I have. Um, and I have daughters. I have girls who are also saying that same thing. They're like, "Oh no." I'm like, but then I got better. I had hot flashes, then they went away, and now I only get 1 or 2 a week. So it gets better. You don't have your period. Yay. They're kind of looking forward to that part. But yeah, what I did in my business, like you asked, was this. So after I heard those ladies that spoke, it grew a passion inside of me to surround myself with others in the peri and in the pause. And so that is my true new found passion in the last 8 or so years. And so I have begun bringing women who are in that phase of life that just happen to be at a certain age. And I like to equate it to like their second act who maybe are ready to pivot out of a corporate role into doing something for themselves. And so um, I have a passion to bring those on board to my team if they want. I'm really good at helping them think about their skill set and how they can transfer it. Also, knowing in the back of my head what they need as a woman of our age. And so that makes me want to give more advocacy for them and really support them on the back end of my business. And then that extends to my clients too, because then I'm going to have the virtual assistants in my company that can help the clients that are also there. And that makes for the best pairings ever because we just get each other like, oh my gosh, give me a minute. Like me with you, like, oh my gosh, my arm hurts. Give me 1 second. We get it. And that it's great to have that community of people that are just like me. And then the education part. Thank you for being on this podcast. Like, feel like I'm now becoming an educator about it because I've
Yeah.
learned so much. And for me, I think it was because so I had older sisters. One I lost when I was 32. The other one's around, but she and my mother both had hysterectomies rather young, but I haven't. And so I can't talk to either one of them about the menopause journey. And so I've had to figure this out by myself. But well, I take that back. Through my community and through the people that have taught me, like yourself and others like you, I know a lot, a lot more than I ever expected to know. Uh, and HRT, I know a lot about. That used to be that thing we were scared of. If we were Gen
Mm.
X kids, we were raised like, oh, you're gonna die if you get hormone replacement. No, that's not the thing anymore. I know many ladies that have and have had so much success with it. And so, yeah, helping people through the business, talking, being an advocate for people, just learning and soaking it all in and knowing I'm not alone, hanging out with people that are my age and in this phase.
Yeah, community is so important. And we know that, so the Menopause Foundation of Canada, and there's
Okay.
also very similar data in the US, released a report about menopause at work. And 1 in 10 women are leaving the workplace because of unsupported menopause and perimenopause symptoms. We know that this is true.
Yes.
So, what are you hearing from the women who come to you? What have their experiences been in the workplace? And how is this shift changing their quality of life?
What I hear the most is ageism. It's one of those isms you don't hear an awful lot about, but it is an ism. And so I thought about it. If I had to go back to corporate right now at 57, they would look at me like I'm crazy, or they would like, we can't afford you, or you're going to leave in 5 years. But what I'm noticing in my community of women in this era is that they're working longer. Their experience is their superpower because it is like another one of those amplified things. So that experience is so powerful in that we do become kind of the educators and the teachers for those that are coming up behind us. And so I think like in my business and from what I've heard, those people that are still in like corporate roles are having that ism, but they're turning to entrepreneurship and being very successful in that. And I like to help those kind of people and they like to help me. So these collabs that we can do, totally, like menopause is totally unrelated to my business, but I've somehow intertwined it. So I get creative with them and we collaborate on ways to mix it in and to support these other women. And I think, just the way you and I got together is networking and anything I can do with my audience to promote a woman that's looking for a job and she's suffering with hot flashes and things like that, or the embarrassment or the stigma of it. If like maybe she's in a male dominated construction field or something. I've been there and I have all this insight I can give her because I've also been an office manager. And I also know that when you build out an office, you build out a multi-purpose room, and that room can be for anybody to go in and shut the door and to get away from the embarrassment. And that's just an example of one thing that just popped in my head. Because things
Yeah.
random, that's another sign. Things pop in there or things escape.
Yes,
My
escape,
favorite
absolutely.
my favorite analogies for those that escape is that my head is like a Rolodex. And sometimes I can't remember words, so I have to, scroll back in the Rolodex to find the word.
Mhm.
But I'll find it and
Yes.
I'll scream it out tonight when I remember it. But keep it light, I try to keep it light with these women so they're not scared. And they know there are options and that there are people like myself that can support them in their corporate journeys too.
That is really important. I'm glad that you brought up ageism because on the show, I think we sort of have danced around it, but I'm not sure that we've come at it directly.
Right.
And it is very real. And it is very challenging. And it shows itself in the workplace in lots of different ways. Even from, some of the folks that I have supported just feel so completely unseen. They will offer, and I had this experience many times also. I would offer a thought or an idea, and it would go completely unheard until my male counterpart said it.
Ooh.
And yeah, and then they were like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And I am sitting there. So when we are in this space, we are faced with both sexism
Yep.
and ageism.
Yes.
Those 2 things really combine together for this real sense of being completely unseen.
Yeah.
And it is really painful, and I'm not sure that we make enough space to talk about that.
Imagine how many women begin then through their physical journey anyway in life
Yes.
and then experience that and go into a depressive state then, because that just adds to their already body making them depressed, like even more so depressed because nobody's listening to what I'm contributing and things like that. So, oh, I'm glad I stepped out when I did.
Yeah, absolutely, and we are the other light that I really like to shine is that we are incredibly valuable. So at this time where we are being ignored and unseen, we are quite often the knowledge keepers of our organization. We hold institutional wisdom. We have relationships. We have our own education that we invested in and then have continued to build on through professional development and experience. So you have these leaders in organizations that are being completely devalued, and it actually costs the organization and the business.
Yeah.
So just in Canada, it costs the Canadian economy $3.5 billion dollars
I
in
can
lost
imagine the
revenue.
same here. Yeah. Yeah. I
It
don't
would
know the
be
stats, but yeah.
the magnitude would just be larger, right? Because
Yeah.
Canada is our population is so
There
much
you go.
smaller than the
Right.
US,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So the magnitude of that just is greater.
Hmm.
But when you put it in those terms, which it's frustrating that we have to do that
It
anyway,
is
like, can't we
very,
just accept that we are
we're
humans and
here.
are good at our jobs? But when we put a dollar value to it, it is significant talent loss for organizations. And there are very doable things that can make organizations more welcoming. And like you said, the multi-purpose room that you talked about actually is one of the things that when we're talking about policy and shift and changes in organizations, is having a space where people can go. And if they've happened to have a hot flush at work, they've got a spare pair of clothes, they
And a
can
little
go there.
fan in there.
Yeah.
Do
Cool
it.
off, get yourself back together, change if you need to.
Cry
But
if you need
these
to.
Cry if you need to, but these are like very simple strategies that organizations can implement right away.
Do you feel like there's a shift maybe in the last decade or so of more and more women being educated about menopause now because and just what goes along everything we've talked about because I'm feeling this shift. I don't know if it's just because I'm in it or just like I'm hearing more about it because I'm in it. I don't know. But I feel like there's a shift. I feel like there's going to be change. Change is coming. Like, hear us roar.
Absolutely.
We're working
Yeah.
longer. That I hear. Is that a statistic? That's legit? Like, we're working longer.
Yes.
So, we've got so much more to give for a longer period of time with all that experience that follows, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, this week's episode that I released was with a financial advisor.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, we're working longer because we are not the baby boomer generation. And yet we live in the narrative of this, graduate from school, have a career, retire.
I wish. So easy.
Exactly. But
So easy.
that is not our truth and it's not our reality. And part of the mind shift is that is not our story. And it's okay because we can shift and change in these ways that we are working. So definitely we have to work longer. And I would say the other answer to your question was both yes and no. So yes, there is and I feel like it is Gen X. I feel like this is
Yeah.
our piece to change. And when you are in this world, it feels like everybody knows and there's so much change that's happening. You take one step outside of Menno world and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of work to do still.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I get that for sure. But I just I feel so empowered lately, and I think that it was really needed for me to find people to pull me into that and not to go, regress back into how I was feeling before. So yeah, go girls, go ladies, go girls. Let's still be called girls. I don't care. Call me a girl. It makes me feel good.
Yes. There's a meme that I just saw yesterday. It's like our teen queen. This is
Yes.
our teen queen time.
Yes. Have you ran across that gal on TikTok? I think her name is Melody or
Oh,
Melanie. Oh
yeah.
my god, the We Do Not Care Club.
Yes.
That one chin hair, man, she
I know.
kills me. She absolutely kills me.
She speaks the truth.
She
Yes,
sure does.
absolutely. Yeah. So, what are some of the skills that you see women coming out of their corporate job or their organization? What do you see the skills that they are bringing with them into this new space that are helping them to create this new way of working and being?
I think the biggest thing I see is the openness to change as you change. So, like, even in myself, as a perfect example, I stepped out of, like you read in the bio at the beginning, nearly 3 decades of being an executive assistant in corporate into running a business, managing people, doing a podcast of my own. All the never say nevers. I think we're just getting a little more open to making those changes and trying things, because what do we have to lose at this point? Try or just get out of the cook or get out of the kitchen, however that saying goes. But I think we're open to change. I think we love to share our knowledge, like moi. Here I am sharing as much knowledge as I have gained, and to bring up the next generation. We have so much more to share, and where it may have been a taboo subject, it's not so taboo to talk about anymore, like me talking about vaginal dryness or whatever the hell I was talking about before.
Mhm.
Like, I would never have I'd be like, "Oh, I'm out there in the world saying that out loud now." It's like we're not as held back. I think those open to change, open to talk about it, open to just, teach others and bring others up about it are probably my takeaway.
Mhm. Yeah, and those are all very transferable skills, and I would completely agree. If you are working with a woman who maybe is in that like in between stage, they're trying to make the decision of, do I stay in what's known and safe? Because that's very real. It's scary to jump into the unknown. So if you're supporting a woman who's kind of in that in between space, how do you support them in making the decision that is going to be best for that woman?
You just said it right there, in my opinion, is make the decision that's best for you. And you don't have to feel the pressure to go do something you're not comfortable doing unless you're like me that says, like, give me change to get me out of that rat race. But if you like that rat race and you feel comfortable and you like, I'm just going to skate through and I am going to retire because I want to go on a beach and hang out. So I'm going to stay where I'm comfortable. Stay. I mean, it's you have that option. If you want change, go for it. You can do it. If you don't want change, live in it, find your people to help pull you through it, and you'll be great. Either way, it's your choice, and it don't feel like you have to do one or the other way. There's no rules, and that's something this Xers are we don't care about rules. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, and I think that's one of our wise things about this time. We don't care about what other people are doing. So do what you think feels
If there was one piece of wisdom you could share with your younger self who was in that perimenopause, who was making all of these changes, if you could go back and have a conversation with her, what is one piece of wisdom you would want her to know that you have gained through this process?
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so I'm thinking of that age me and all I was doing back then. And it's frantic and ever changing and you're raising children and you're running around and you just feel like it's never going to end. Well, that will come to an end. And it's sad because then you get the empty nest thing. And then if you're having children or if you're single, it does change, I imagine, for single people too, because then maybe the dating scene changes, but it's all survivable. We're still here and we're just in a new phase of life. We're like that butterfly coming out of the cocoon. That cocoon of life will open up to something different and we can do so much more in this different phase. I ain't gonna lie, it will be a little bit tough, as we mentioned. You will fall, but you will get back up again. I laugh at myself when I make these.
Well, humor, we need to be able
Right.
to laugh.
That's it too. Laugh at yourself because I cried and then I came in and laughed. I was like, what the hell did I trip on my own 2 feet? Like, and then I thought I pictured my husband tossing those shoes saying, "You're never wearing any burger shoes again," and he's throwing them across the yard. I'm like, it really wasn't the shoes. I mean, it probably was, but I'm like, okay, fine. Then, you just change shoes. I'm not going to wear backless shoes. I promise, hubby. I got him into depression over it. I'm like, oh, stop. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I'm okay. I have some bruises, but that comes with menopause. Some of us sooner than others. But yeah, I love the idea that there are so many options for people to choose and anything you choose, okay. You want to do HRT, it's there for you. Do it. If it's going to make you feel better, try it or don't try it, and know that the hard stuff then will change into a little bit harder stuff now. But you're going to grow from it and all that you went through there will be gone and then you won't realize how that feels till you get here.
Uh-huh.
It is challenging, but it is survivable because here we are.
Yeah.
We're still
Yeah.
here and kicking.
Absolutely. You spoke a little bit about your husband and how
Mhm.
he was feeling. And I think that that's another important part of the conversation because our partners, whoever they may be, are going on this journey with us. And a lot of the time, we don't necessarily have the language for
Right.
how to communicate. And they
Oof.
certainly don't have the language for how to
Right.
communicate with us. So, how did you and your husband navigate that change?
So we're still navigating it, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
I
that.
lean into my jokester over here and I'm like, oh God, he has menopause, because he seems to be going through the same things I'm going through. It's really odd. I don't know if
Well,
it's like
there
by association.
no, so there is androgen cycling that happens.
Okay.
It's
I
not
believe
it's not
that.
as extreme, like, it's not like the brakes
Yeah.
coming on a car like it is for
Not like
us,
us.
but there is a cycle that's happening for them
I
too.
do see it, and the way we're maneuvering it is me just communicating to him. But literally yesterday, he had to leave our living room and walk outside and just be sit out in the quiet. And I was like, "Where did he go? Where did he go?" So I went out, like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I just needed quiet." And he was tearing, and I'm just like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "I just don't feel right." It was the day after I did this, and he's been through some health issues that just come with aging. And so I think it's all hitting him kind of emotionally like it hits us. And I think it is that association, like you said, but they do go through it. And so we are talking. And because of what, like being able to talk to you now, I'm able to tell him it's okay. Yes, I fell and it could have been worse, but I know that it's part of what I'm going through. And I mean, I don't know that 100%. Heaven forbid it's anything else, but I'm just trying to talk to him about it. And then I'll joke and make him laugh about the menopause thing. And tell him it's okay to feel like you feel, like, "Welcome to my life. This is how I feel." He's scared, just like us, and I
Yeah.
think our partners are just as scared as we are that do I have Alzheimer's or am I have brain fog? How do I know? And I think And because I talk about it so much, oops, he's feeling it. And it is something we are right in the midst of still really feeling and trying to figure out right now. So I can't give a whole lot of advice on that until we get through the other
Yeah.
side of it because we are right in the heat of it. And I am so worried. I'm worried about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. And actually, I think talking about it while you're in the heat of it actually is kind of most helpful because
Yeah.
that's where most people find themselves is in the challenge. And when you talked, it made me feel quite emotional actually when you said he's scared.
He's scared, and I've never seen him like that. Like, what are
Yes.
you don't make faces like that. What are you squinting your crying for? Like, I never
Yeah.
seen you cry, and
Yeah.
that's very defeating to show that side. That's why he went outside. I would have
Yeah.
done it right in front of him.
Well, yeah. And, making space for them to admit, like, I am scared because at the heart of it, the truth of menopause that nobody really wants to talk about is that it does signal a different time of life that is headed toward the end of life, right? Yes, we still may have many, many years. I'm not saying that it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there is a change that is starting to happen in like our physical bodies, our emotion, all of it.
Mhm.
And for men particularly of our generation who were not given space to feel or given the language to talk about how they
Literally said
feel.
that.
Yeah. Yes.
He's like, "My dad taught me to be strong and not talk about things. Hold it all in."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when we are afraid, what do we do? Freeze, fight, or flee,
He was a fleer. Yes, he was a
right?
fleer. Yep.
Many times I'll have conversations with women who are in sometimes their marriages are falling apart, sometimes they are in a transition time, they don't know where it's gonna go. I've had conversations with women who have gotten divorced and realized it's not actually what they wanted. So lots
I'm
of things can
feeling that
happen.
one. I'm not
Yeah,
through that, I hope, but it's scary. I mean,
and
that is something we are right in the midst of, and I'm like, "Don't leave me.
yeah,
Please don't leave me."
and and I think if we give each other the grace and to actually recognize and say, "We are both afraid right now." And we know what those fear responses are. Like neurologically, that's what it is, right? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Mm.
That's what we do. And so let's talk about like what is your urge? Because if the urge is to detach and flee, it might actually not be that they're not in love with you or that they don't want to be in that relationship anymore. They're just so scared that they feel that they're so uncomfortable and they have no language to talk about. So thank you for highlighting that because I think it's a really nuanced piece of the conversation. Like, yes, we can be annoyed. I'm
Yeah.
not saying we have to be like perfect with our partners and that they can't be frustrating.
I've been
That
married for
is
20 years. I mean, I don't expect that.
no, that is also legit and true.
Yeah,
And if we peel back all those layers and really let ourselves sit in that space of uncomfortability and fear and really talk about it, I think that could be quite transformational.
absolutely. I love that. That's
Yeah.
like a mic drop for me. And it just helped me. You literally just like healed me. No, you helped me because I don't know how to handle him because I'm still maneuvering, handling myself. And I just, a whole lot of things I'm guilty of is the expectation that he should know me by now. But I have changed. Now that just the epiphany I just had, I have changed. He does not know the me he married 20 years ago. I'm not the same person anymore, and neither is he. And that's what I expected him to be because you don't go through menopause. So you're supposed to be the same. But
Yeah.
now it's just kinda like opened my mind to think about how I'm feeling that he could be sort of feeling the same way. And
Yeah.
I need to be respectful of that.
Yeah. Absolutely. That
Thank
is
you.
so powerful. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And just one last thing,
Sure.
especially as
It's
we come through
okay. I could talk
some
all day.
heavy, and we're in a heavy time in history. I like to ask people, what is bringing you joy right now?
Joy. Joy is looking forward to my 1-month sabbatical, is
That is
bringing me
joy.
lots of joy, and anticipation and a little fear, but mostly joy. because I am walking away from my business for a month and I'm walking away from my life for a month and worried about my menopause that's going to come into effect. And now that I'm falling, that might be one of those things my husband's thinking about when I'm walking on cobblestone roads. But now I know what can happen and I will get reasonable shoes and I will keep that joy because I'm so excited about the trip. So that's what's bringing me the most joy right now.
Yeah, that I am feeling joy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But
I'm so excited. Once in a lifetime. We're like in that in between the our kids are grown, we don't have grandkids yet, we don't have any pets, so it's like travel time,
yeah,
no matter how we're
absolutely.
feeling on the inside.
Bonnie, thanks so much for this conversation. It's been really impactful, and I appreciate your time and your wisdom today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for hanging out with me on Transforming 45. If you laughed, nodded, or had an oh wow moment, hit follow and share it with your favorite midlife human. Find me on Instagram at @lboat and keep those transformations coming.
Electricast.